So what comes first? Should I sell my home first or should I buy my home first? This question, typically we get it a lot. It doesn't matter what market you're in, whether you're in an up market or in a low market. This is a very common question. And I always get this question from my past clients, or I get this question from clients that have been referred to me. Obviously, you have to own a home to have this question, but a lot of them are from seasoned homeowners, and you just want to have a good understanding of what you should do first. So the reason behind me doing this video is obviously because it's a very common question, but also I want to put you in a position where after watching this, you can feel like you have the right question, you have the right tools to maybe approach a real estate mortgage broker when you're talking to them, and you have the right knowledge, and you can answer this question by yourself. Because I know a lot of times you're sitting at home, you don't feel like you need to talk to anybody about these things, and you just want to figure it out by yourself. So I want to put you in that position where after watching this, you're very clear on what you can do in terms of whether you should sell or buy first. So before I even get to the points, I want to say this as well, because a lot of my past clients will be watching this and they'll be wondering, what are you talking about this right now, Clement? Because I always say that you don't want to sell the home that you've purchased, particularly here in the Greater Toronto area. If you've worked so hard to put yourself in a position to own a home in this market, you want to sustain it, you want to maintain it as much as possible, and use it to purchase other properties if possible. So the first option really should not be jumping to sell your home. I should just put that out there. But in some cases, it's totally different, and you have this question, and it's leading you to do a bunch of other things. As a sidebar, there's other options you can do. You can do a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, and take the money out of that property and see what you can purchase down the line as well as an investor. So there's all these options, but I just wanted to throw that in there before I go into the steps here for you. So with that said, let's get into step number one. And step number one is you want to be very clear if you're approaching this as a investor or as personal use, because this is where a lot of confusion can come in. Because if you're approaching this as an investor, the approach is totally different, because you're not approaching it as yourself moving in, you're not approaching it as your family going in there, you're approaching it just to look for a tenant or look for investment in terms of appreciation. So whatever the investment role you're going after, so you're approaching it from that lens. Now, if you're approaching this as a homeowner where you want to be moving in there, you and your family, which is what we're focusing on this video, it's a completely different approach. So in this video, we're going to be approaching it as a personal use for yourself and your family. So now let's get into number two. You want to know your destination. Be very clear on this. So you'll never go into a car without knowing where you're going, without having a clear understanding of the destination you're headed to. It's the same thing here. You want to be very clear on what you want to do in the long term, or where you want to end up here. So let's say, for example, you want to either upsize or smart size. Smart size really is just you're downsizing from a big home to a much smaller home. So you're looking at your current property, you're looking at your current home, and you're saying, I need to make sure I have an extra bathroom. We have to have a bigger kitchen. I need a bigger backyard, or I need a backyard because you're moving from a townhouse. So you want to be very clear on those needs and why you really need, what's driving your decision behind this destination that you're trying to go to. Be very clear on this, because it's going to lead us to step number three. So step number three, which could really go back and forth between the second step and the third step, you want to know the value of your home. So here's where the reality check comes in. After you've understood step number two, you know the type of home you want to go into, you know the number of rooms, you know the semi-detached, you want a standalone home, or you know exactly the type of home you want to move into. Step number three is, this step here brings you to reality, because what's going to happen here is you're going to know how much equity you have in your home. And how you get to know how much equity you have is by obviously doing the comparables in and around your area. So if you know how to do this by yourself, great. Just do a quick rough estimate of the location you're in and around of your current home, and from there, you'll know exactly how much equity you have and how much you can actually use. If you're not able to do it yourself, or you're not confident doing it yourself, you can reach out to a mortgage agent like myself, or somebody that you know that can help you out. I typically would always do for my clients who are watching this, I always send you a yearly comparable market analysis of your home to let you know how much your property has appreciated, or even if it has depreciated, I'll still let you know, because you need to stay updated on what's going on. Or as per request, I know a lot of my clients, what they always do is they just send me a quick text saying like, hey Clement, I just want to know the value of my home. And I always send them a complete detailed comparable market analysis, a quick video, and then you get to understand how much equity you actually have, because this is going to let us know how much can you actually allocate towards a down payment, because this is what I mean by the reality comes in here, where you'll now get to know how much can you actually afford because of how much you're willing to allocate towards a down payment. Now this leads you to step number 4, because now you've done the value of your home, you know how much equity you have. So from this, you know how much you're going to allocate towards a down payment of a home. Now, if you're deciding to use the full amount because you're going to sell your home and you don't need extra cash or anything like this, and you're going to use 100% of the profits from the sale of your home towards your new purchase, good. If you want to use 80%, if you want to use 50%, it really depends on how much equity you currently have from the sale of your home. So whatever that is, so let's say, for example, it's 200,000. So you do the math from this to know how much you can actually purchase. I'm going to do a video on this, a very detailed video on how you can do these calculations without having to reach out to a mortgage broker right away. And it's going to really show you. I'm going to approach it from a debt to income ratio and do the math for you, really, and you'll have a good understanding of how to do this. If you're watching this video after I've already done it, the link will be right here, and you'll be able to have a good understanding of how to do this, because this is the next step, which is very important to let you know of the destination you're going to go to, or the kind of home you really want to purchase down the line. Now, step number 5. So you already know how much the value of your home is, and from this, you know the equity that you have, and from the equity, you know how much down payment you're going to allocate towards the purchase, and from knowing this down payment, you also now know how much is the maximum purchase price you can actually afford because of the down payment you're willing to provide on this. Number 5 is now you want to look in and around the area that you want to purchase. Now we're moving away from your current home. Now we're moving into the area that you want to go ahead and purchase. Now in this area, you want to look at the type of property. So you're going back to step number 2. You're looking at the needs and wants that you have and the kind of property you want, how many bedrooms you're looking for. Is it a semi-detached you're looking for? Is it a condo? So you're looking at that location and you're saying, okay, 800,000. What can 800,000 get me in this location that I really want? If 800,000 is not getting you anything close to what you want, what other areas can give you all this? So in here, it's also very important to look at some of the most recently sold properties in the location that you want, because this is going to give you a very good understanding of the value of the location you want. It's one thing to look at the ones that are currently in the market, because what's currently in the market, remember, that is the marketing price. So I'll give you a perfect example here. From the down payment you have, you now know that you can purchase a property of 800,000, and you're thinking you want to move to Pickering. Now you're looking at townhouses in Pickering for 800,000, which are listed for 799. And you're looking at that and you say, oh, this townhouse is listed for 799. You get excited. Oh, I can get exactly what I want. But in reality, that 799 is actually a marketing price for that Pickering area. So and that same property that's listed for 799 is going to actually sell for 850 or 900,000. So it's important to look at what has sold in and around that Pickering area to let you know what's selling for less than 800 or exactly 800,000. And if it's just condominiums or condominium apartments, then that gives you a good answer. Like, I don't think Pickering is the right place for. Maybe I should move a little bit farther east, maybe go to Ajax, or maybe move a little bit farther to Whitby, which will get me the kind of property that I want. Or am I really okay with this? Maybe I might just have to stay and wait for my equity to keep growing. So these are the type of questions you want to be asking yourself as you're doing this. So clearly, once you get to this step, it starts getting a little bit complicated, because there's some information that you potentially don't really know, or potentially might not have the better understanding of what you need to do. Number 6, here you want to reach out to a real estate broker. If you can do all this by yourself, great. Go ahead, keep doing it. But I say it's important to reach out to a real estate broker, because what's going to happen here particularly if you're reaching out to somebody like myself, we would initially have a quick conversation over the phone to just have a good understanding of where you are. And I'll also do the whole comparable market analysis for you of your home and see the kind of area that you want to look into. And then we'll see if it makes sense to go to the next step, where after you've looked at the comparable market analysis that I've sent you, if it makes sense for me to come to your house and do a walkthrough and now create a complete action plan on how to execute this picture that you have in mind for yourself, your family, and take it from there. So a real estate broker is going to be able to help you in the sense of looking at all these areas that you're thinking or where you want to move. And I'll be able to tell you, okay, for $800,000 or for $1 million, you're going to be able to get a condo in Toronto. You're going to be able to get a house in Newmarket. Depending on where your location, where your desires are, this direction is going to be very important for you. It's going to be very beneficial for you when you're talking to a real estate broker. The real estate broker should be able to connect you with a mortgage broker, or if you already have a mortgage broker that you have, I always think it's a good idea to use a mortgage broker that with a similar mortgage broker that your real estate agent is using, because when you have a whole team for yourself, and it's something I'm going to actually talk about as well, it's important to have your team to work for you and everybody to be on the same page. It's going to make the whole process, the whole transition very seamlessly, very smooth. And I'm talking about your real estate broker, your mortgage broker, your lawyer, inspector, all these people. If you have this team around you, it's very good for you, and you're going to be able to execute this very seamlessly in a very good way. So the last step, number 7, once you're absolutely clear on everything that you need to do and all that is required from you, you want to take action. You want to drive the car off the parking lot and towards your destination. And if you find yourself stuck and you're not moving, that means there's just something that's not clear. It's just a lack of knowledge that you just require. So this is where it's important. I've already said in step number 6, reach out to your mortgage broker, reach out to your real estate broker, and have this discussion, because there's nothing that cannot be solved. Somebody like me, I've done a number of transactions over the years. There's not much in the business that I've not seen. So it's going to be very good for me to be able to have this conversation with you where you feel stuck, and a conversation will just be able to guide you to the next step. Or maybe you just the plan really is for you to just stay where you are. You don't have to sell. You know, a lot of times I get clients who feel the pressure of you've got this idea in your head, and you feel like, okay, you've sold yourself the idea of, I need to sell my home so I can be able to move into where I need this extra space and all these things. And then step number 3 or step number 2 step number 3 hits you with the reality that how much you're actually going to be able to afford on the purchasing side will not be able to give you what you're looking for. So instead of really stressing yourself, let's create an action plan on what can be done here. It might mean you're not moving out in 2 months or in 3 months. It might mean you might have to move out in maybe a year's time, a year and a half. Let the market do its work and let your property appreciate significantly, and you'll be able to get into the kind of home that you really want. And who knows, maybe you might not even have to sell, and you might just do what I mentioned earlier in the video. You might have to do a HELOC and take money out of your property and purchase another home that is really beneficial for you. So once you feel stuck, I always just say it's just a lack of knowledge, and you just have to either look into it or just speak to somebody that's going to be able to help you with this. Now, if you've reached this far in the video, if you could just do me a quick favor, hit subscribe on the channel. If you're able to do that, I'll really appreciate it. Like it, and just reach out to me, leave a comment, and let me know if there's anything that you would like for me to actually have a good conversation with you guys or really talk about as well. But until next time, see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.